Understanding Weather by Jaimin and Rida. The water cycle. What are the stages of the water cycle?
The stages of the water cycle are evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and runoff.
Explain what occurs at each stage of the water cycle.
Well, in evaporation, water evaporates in the sky. And condensation is when water molecules come together to form a cloud. And precipitation is when water precipitates to the ground. Also, runoff is when water flows into a lake or river.
How is the water cycle related to weather?
Precipitation falls rapidly, creating a flood.
How do land features affect the water cycle?
A rock could be in the way of a river.
And that's the water cycle. Clouds. What is a cloud? A visible body of very fine water droplets or ice particles suspended in the atmosphere at altitudes ranging up to several miles above sea level. What are the three main types of clouds? The three main types of clouds are cumulus clouds, moderate altitude with white puffy clouds, cirrus clouds, high altitude looking like hair in the sky, and unusually means fair weather. Stratus clouds, low altitude and an overcast sky or fog is an example. Where do cirrus clouds form and how can their appearance help with weather prediction? Cirrus clouds are formed at very high altitude. Usually this will mean that a storm is approaching. How does the appearance of stratus clouds help meteorologists predict upcoming weather changes? These clouds often cover an entire sky with dull gray color. This is called overcast. If their bottoms reach the ground, they become fog. Stratus clouds produce only drizzle or fine snow, if anything at all. All that is. What effect does the change of cumulus development have on our weather? Under certain atmospheric conditions, these clouds can develop into larger clouds known as towering cumulus or cumulus congestus clouds and may produce a rain or shower.
Dampness, especially of the air. The higher the temperature outside, the more water vapor can be in the air.
When it is raining or snowing, the maximum amount of moisture has evaporated into the air, and then the relevant humidity will be at 100%. What is dew point temperature? The dew point temperature is the temperature at which the air can no longer hold all of the water vapor which is mixed with it, and some of the water vapor must condense into liquid water. How does the dew point help with weather predictions? As the dew point increases, the amount of water vapor in the air will increase, and the dew point over 70 usually will indicate humid conditions and possible storms. Dew points in the 50s to 60s usually will indicate fair or nice weather. The dew point below 50 will be very dry and pleasant. The dew point and the temperature are plugged into an equation to give you the relevant humidity. And that's humidity. Air masses and fronts. Air masses is a volume of air defined by its temperature and water vapor content. A front is defined by its transition zone between two air masses of different distance. What is a warm front, and explain which cloud type often develops along this front. A transformation zone between a masses of warm air and colder air it is replacing. For example, in a warm front, there is cold air ahead of the front, and so the warm air rides up the backside of the cold air, kind of like a giant ramp, and condensation first occurs at the high altitude, causing the formation of the cirrus clouds, and any type of zero form of clouds. Cold front is a front in which the cold air is replacing warm air at the surface. Cold fronts tend to be associated with cirrus well ahead of the front. Strong thunderstorms along and ahead of the front, and broad areas of clouds immediately behind the front. Mostly. Cold fronts can be associated with small lines. How are fronts depicted in the weather map? A cold front is shown as a blue line with blue triangles on the line. A warm front is shown as a red line with red circles on it. And a stationary front is shown as a green line with red circles and blue triangles. And those are air masses and fronts.